Yeah, you want to get on there,
yeah,
huh?
we like to say if you can't feel the heat on the meat, you're too far from the kitchen. So get up in there and roast it.
If you can't feel the heat on the meat, you're too far from the kitchen.
Yeah, get up in there.
Put it on a sticker. So for most of you that follow me on Instagram, you're probably pretty aware now that I'm getting married pretty soon. If you didn't know that, shame on you. But with marriages and weddings and such come the usage of rings. So today, we're in the Barefoot Forge, and I'm gonna make this. All right, so we are in the Barefoot Forge now, and Craig is barefoot.
No, I'm wearing sandals.
Anyway, what we're gonna be doing is making a Damascus ring, right? This is your specialty?
Yeah, we're gonna make a stainless Damascus steel ring.
Yes, and so Craig's already made up the Damascus block of stainless, but I'm selfish and wanna make my own, so we're gonna replicate that process with carbon steel, correct?
Yeah, we're gonna show you how we do it.
Yes, so we're gonna go through that. We'll get started with it. Basically, I'm just gonna see how badly I can attempt to not f this up, and we'll go from there.
Worst case scenario, everything goes wrong.
Yes. Stage 1. Cutting down tiny squares of metal to make a bigger piece of metal, right?
Pretty much.
And in my cutting, I seem to have lost one, but at least I look like a damn scholar.
So we're going to degrease this. We're gonna use some acetone to get all the grease, fingerprints, and Sharpie off.
How much will the greasiness of my Italian heritage affect how much these stick together? I'm stuck.
What are we doing now, Karen?
So pretty. For those of you wondering why he wants a brittle weld, it's because the actual strength in this weld, correct me if I'm wrong, Craig, is coming from the forge weld we're gonna do, right?
Yeah, all we're trying to do is
Hold that stuff together.
stick it together like Scotch tape.
Is that why you see a bunch of pricks on the internet just tack welding the spots?
You could totally just tack weld. That's why we're just doing the corners. Because if we penetrate weld, we're gonna see that in the pattern. It's gonna
That's a
change the
no-bueno.
metallurgy. Yeah. So
No
we
bueno.
don't want that. So we want just weak enough.
I feel like I need to like structurally weld something together. So
Well,
over
we're
lunch,
about to do that.
over lunch, I'm gonna build you a table.
We'll start with this. So we're gonna cut this up into thirds. And so we're gonna use our little spring trick here. Put that in there. Put this other block back here. This area coming out of the forge is about a foot, going up about a foot, we call that the dragon's breath.
Ah!
If you put your face in the dragon's breath, it will affect your face. We're working around 2,300 degrees.
2,300.
That's forge
Why?
temperature.
Forge weld temperature.
2,300 degrees is sort of the most plasticky state of the material. So by operating at their maximum temperature, we're going to be able to move the malleably without them falling apart.
Into the dragon's breath. Look, it's too tall.
Put it sideways a minute. Push it in further. You gotta go 6 inches more.
6 inches more. That's burning my hand. Can I get a glove, please?
Right there. That's a great spot. Awesome.
See, now, coaching would have been great to say, hey, John, come from the bottom, reach up, and keep your arm below the dragon's breath.
You want to make sure you're not just using your wrist. You want to be using your elbow and your shoulder. You want to be putting your whole arm into it. One of the big things you can do to help with that is stand nice and close to the anvil. People have this preconceived notion that 1,700 degree metal anywhere near their genitals is unsafe. So they tend to stand as far away as possible, assuming a warrior one type position and sneaking up on it. That's actually not correct.
Yeah, you want to get on there,
Yeah,
huh?
we like to say if you can't feel the heat on the meat, you're too far from the kitchen. So get up in there and roast it.
If you can't feel the heat on the meat, You're too far from the kitchen.
Yeah, get up in there.
Put it on a sticker.
Push it in some. And up. Push it in some. Dude, so we started with a block like this, right? And we cut a piece off, something vaguely like that. So our first step, we've got all of our layers there. This is already forged out. Our first step, we're gonna heat this up to forge welding temperature so that it's nice and malleable. If we wanna squish this way,
It's gonna make thinner layers.
It'll do that all day long at any temperature. But the second we try squishing this way, these layers want to spread apart. They want to break. So we want to do that at the hottest temperature possible so that they're more likely to bend and not shear apart. We're going to put it in the 25-ton hydraulic press like this, and we're going to do what we call the big squish. We're going to just...
All right, so what we've got is Craig's gonna take us through the first run completely from billet to heat treat to smush to grind. Give me kind of an overhaul of how this is done, and then it's hands-on for me. See if I can do this without completely screwing it up. All right, so we took the chunk of stainless Damascus and then we mashed it down into other things that involves Damascus. And then we're making that Damascus into this chunk of nugget Damascus. Now I'm gonna grind this nugget of Damascus into a round Damascus nugget. And then we're gonna put it on the lathe.
You'll see basically the thing goes round and round, the little carbide tip comes in and removes material. We're just setting up a stop so I don't die. This is the dying factor.
Just peeling away metal, it's so satisfying. You make it the big metal small, and then you make it the round. Ooh, chemicals. He's your, ooh, just kidding. Phew. Dude, that's like one of the coolest things I think I've ever done. Look at that. So for you kids at home, now we're making them wide, width. And
The desired width?
and the desired width for my meat hook is 14 millimeter,
9 millimeters.
9 millimeter total dimension. So we're gonna cut the Damascus blank to 7.5 millimeters. So as much as I'd love to keep this ring this wide, Craig refuses to let me. We can't keep it this wide.
No, it's got 1 more millimeter to go.
So he thinks he knows rings better than me. So what we're doing is milling it down, and I have to decide, looking at the pattern, what I want to get rid of. I don't want to get rid of any of it.
This is just gonna make that hole bigger. And we get to do this 3 times, so I'm just going by hand. I'm coming out, turning it to the left this time, grabbing it there, to the left because we're splitting it out. 20 thousandths of an inch, all the way till you hit your stop, bring it back, and it's over by just a scotch. It's great, it'll work.
Oh, it's so badass. Tiny squiggles, X, tiny squiggles, X. It's my dream. Day 2, we're back in the Barefoot Forge. Craig is still not wearing any goddamn shoes.
I have flip-flops on.
Gross. We're in the jewelry corner now. All the forging is done. We've got the rings milled up. They're looking so sexy. And we're going to now turn them into pieces of jewelry, correct? Mm-hmm. We're gonna get fancy with some tiny tools. Hopefully I don't break anything. Let's go. Craig still refuses to let me do a 2-inch wide ring. Says it won't fit. What are you, an expert? It's a mini shear. It's the tiniest, cutest little shear. It's so adorable.
And then just,
Oh, it's so cute.
it should make a circle that perfectly fits in. This big ring, so it's down here-ish. We're gonna put it on there nice and perpendicular.
Yeah, that's a great frame of reference there. Okay, we'll go about here.
Yeah, about there-ish. And then you just bend it until you get yourself a nice U.
Ooh.
We're after a U. You take these, don't need the mandrel. What we want to do, we're going to fold it parallel to the edge
Parallel with the edge.
and bend it aggressively in so that we get a nice, almost 90-degree angle.
Okay. Oh, that's awesome. I can't believe how much that did. Literally, like changed almost the whole outside. Oh, one ring to rule them all. It's my precious. My precious. My precious. We're dipping the rings in some shit that's gonna make them look cool. Ferric chloride acid, which will make one metal stand out compared to the other, because it eats away at one, right? So, we take a gum band. This is a gum band. Oop, teased you. Teased you again. Oh. I can start to see the darkness coming up. Sweet, sweet mother of God. Oh, hell yes. Oh, that's so cool. Ah, that's on my finger. Look at that. That contrast is insane. You know, I didn't want to come out and say it when I made this, but this is definitely the perfect pattern. No one will ever make a pattern better than my pattern. Oh. This one is mine. You touch it, you die. So thank you guys so much for checking out this build. This was legitimately one of the coolest experiences I have ever gone through in my entire life. Highly recommend it. And if you're interested in making your own ring, Craig's got classes. You can check everything out. I've got his website and Instagram linked down below. And because he is a gracious yinzer like myself, he's actually gonna be giving away one of the other rings that we made during the class. So if you wanna enter to win, all of that info is down in the description and you can enter to win there. It is limited time, which I don't know yet, but make sure you're checking the link in order to get entered if you want one. Lastly, if you're gonna get married, make your own damn ring, and when you're doing so, make sure you punch in the face.